Hey team, you're watching Hide and Sneaks and there's been a new addition to the Reimagined series. Today we're going to be talking about the Jordan 1 Black Toe Reimagined. There's been a few Jordan 1s released under the Reimagined series already, and with the exception of the UNC colorway, I think the Black Toes might be the last pair. And that's largely because Jordan has already released some of the most iconic colorways they could possible. They started off with the breads, they gave that switch up to the leather, adding in the pattern leather. They then followed that up with the even more successful Chicago tape, which was the lost and founds, adding that mix of narrative like they found a box that was lost in a mom and pop store, and then adding in that really cool distressed aging look to it. And it was a great pair. They then followed it up with their own take on the Royal, which was actually a switch out from that leather to that suede material, and was actually based off an unreleased sample. So with the exception of maybe the shadows, I don't know what other ones they could possibly do. They might do the metallics, they might do the neutral greys, but I really doubt it because they already released both the metallic red and the neutral greys as high 85 cuts, and no one really seemed to care. In fact, I saw a lot of them sitting at outlets well after release. Bringing it back to the Black Toes, it's been something we've been talking about for quite some time. Now I know it's been delayed once, it might even have been delayed twice depending where you are in the world. But it's been a bit of a topic of controversy because of how they did their Reimagined retake. Now in previous iterations of the Reimagined series outside of the ones, including the 3 and the 4, they've done either aging or they've done material swap out. 2025 they've done things a little bit differently. The black metallic seemed to be a bit of a unique take where they've tried to add that 3M piping to create Reimagined interest, and it didn't really seem super obvious. And again, I don't think this one is super obvious either. I think the swap out from using the Air Wings logo to the Air Jordan logo has obviously been controversial, and it's got a lot of people, including myself, wondering, is this a pair I actually want to pick up? But before I spoil my take, let's look at this in my miss, must, or maybe ratings and see how it stacks up. Now before I jump into that, just a refresher, a miss is a pair that has a few things going wrong with it. It's not going to add a lot to your collection, so you can probably skip it. A maybe is a great solid pair, but depending on the size of your collection or other shoes you have in your collection, you might be able to walk away with this one and go, hey look, there's a better release for me out there. And a must is a very self-explanatory one. It's a great pickup no matter how big or small your collection is, so you should definitely look at picking it up. Starting off with it being a miss. Now I know there's that controversy around that Wings logo, but no, that's not enough to have that swap out be something that I would say is an instant miss. It's still a really wearable colorway. It's still for the most part still an OG retro colorway. So for me, all of that in consideration, as well as the fact that Reimagined do a decent job of materials, nothing crazy, but still a decent job, I think it's firmly out of miss territory. Moving into maybe territories where we're going to get a little bit controversial potentially, because I do like the Black Toes, but I find it so hard not to look at that swap out of the Air Jordan Wings logo. I know it's meant to be some narrative and storytelling of what it could have been, but it's so hard to not look at and feel like it's a fake or bootlegged pair. The other problem for me is the Black Toes didn't release all that long ago, so you probably can find quite a cost-effective pair in still good condition. In fact, and I will talk about this in the vibe check coming up after this, I actually think, and it might be a hot take, I think the Bread Toes are actually better than the Black Toes, and if you can get a good pair of Bread Toes, I think it has that much nicer sort of tumbled leather, that sort of cream for contrast. I would chase that over this pair. So for me, I think it's a very clear maybe territory. I won't even justify it as a must because I just don't think it's there. It shouldn't be a must if it's controversial. And this pair, that one little switch out has been controversial. Now we've got to look at it from a vibe check perspective, and for those of you who haven't seen the channel before, vibe check is my rating where I look at a shoe and see what similarities it has with other releases that capture a similar sort of vibe. This might be your way of capturing a past release. It might be something that you've wanted to capture. It was either too long of a release, too expensive of a release, or too limited of a release. So with a vibe check you can capture that similar vibe. Obviously this is a reimagined series of an OG retro, so the most obvious vibe check to look at first would be the last release of the Black Toes. Now logo switch up aside, this is still a very good representation of a Black Toe, and if you do want to get a Black Toe and you haven't found one your size or a good price or good condition, I think from a vibe check perspective this would tick that box pretty nicely. So similarly, this is a vibe check for the Bread Toes. It has that red, it has that white, it has that black contrast, so I think it ticks a lot of those similar boxes. It's very obvious this is a Jordan pair that's inspired by the Bulls, so it's still a really good pickup if that's your objective, either from an OG colorway sort of niche or from a red color blocking for a Jordan 1 to complete a color wheel. Now you've heard my take as a sneakerhead, but let's go and ask Brooklyn, my fiance, and see what hers are, because she's obviously not a sneakerhead and she'll give a very fresh take. Let's see how many purple hearts it gets, and is it a near miss or is it a near misses? I should warn you first though, she's not a huge fan of 3 colours on shoes, and she's not a big fan on green on Jordans either. So let's see how this is going to go.
So when I was showing these ones, all I could think about was that it's the original colorway, or reminds me so much of Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. And it was just like, yep, that looks like OG shoe. Apart from the logo, which I believe is a new, different one, but I noticed that when I first saw it. For me, I like neutral shoes. I imagine these are quite popular because of the OG-ness, if that's even a word, it's going to be a word now. But again, still probably not quite me. I see a lot of people wearing these if they can get their hands on them. I imagine it's also still a hard one to get. I think they're quite neutral for a colourful shoe, if that makes sense. They're probably more wearable.
So the sneaker market is really mixed on this one because that change out of the logo is really controversial. So look at that green pair down there.
Yeah. Are they wings? What are they?
So that's the Jordan Wings logo.
Wings, right. Yeah, that one looks way better than that. If someone says, what are a pair of Jordans? I'd say red, black and white. I'm going to say it's an near miss, unfortunately. 7 purple stars, which I don't know is probably I need to figure out what's going to be considered a near misses. But because of the OG-ness, I think I should rate it higher.
What do you rate it though?
7 purple stars.
But you don't like it.
I don't mind it.
So 7 out of 10 is not bad.
Maybe 6.5. 6.5 purple stars. And it's a near miss.
Great, that is Brooklyn's take on the Purple Heart rating. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree or your significant other agrees with that too, because it's always different seeing non-sneakerheads takes. Well, that brings us to a close. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you agree with my thoughts in the comment section down below. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.